Before I leave, I'm going to make one of its classic desserts, pears poached in wine and vanilla.
Now, if you look at the ingredients, 4 or 5 ingredients. You need pears, you need caster sugar, you need a cinnamon stick, a vanilla pod, and a touch of vanilla extract. Of course, you need good bottle of red wine. Now, why do I say good bottle of red wine? Because often people say, well, if you got cheap wine, that is good for cooking. Wrong. That is the most useless tip that people can give you. If the wine is not good for drinking, the wine should not be good for cooking. Simple as that. Okay, so what you need to do is, medium-sized saucepan. You need to make sure that it's quite tall because you want to cover the pear. I've got some of the pear already peeled, but I'm gonna do one for you. I like to do with a knife. You can do it with a potato peeler. When you peel it, stay very close to the skin, like I'm doing. You can do this recipe with apple, by the way. I just cut a little bit from the bottom because if I put this now, can you see it's wobbling? It doesn't stand up. So take a little bit from the bottom. Pick it up, straight into the pan. I'm gonna switch on the heat right now. Medium heat, don't go too mad. Then you get your bottle of wine. This is the hard part of this recipe. Make sure your pears are upright. Then what you do, you put your cinnamon stick. This is gonna give an excellent flavor. Your vanilla stick goes in there. I like to put 2 teaspoons of vanilla extracts and then caster sugar. What's gonna happen is gonna create a nice, thick, shiny syrup that we're gonna serve the pear with. When you cover it with a leaf, just leave a little bit. Just leave a little bit like that, half an hour. But what I want you to do, every 10 minutes, just go there, move the pears around, and the job is done. So let me show you after half an hour. Take them out. Look at those pears. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful color. And keep the heat on a medium because we're gonna keep cooking the red wine until it becomes a syrup.
Reduce the red wine down for half an hour. Then drizzle the syrup over the cooked pears.
Minimum effort, maximum satisfaction. Buttati al cufaniello, ragazzi. Are you ready? Ecco qua, signora.
Grazie.
Buon appetito.
Grazie.
Io non lo ascolto.
Deliziosa.
Buona?
Buonissimo.
Signora, che dice lei?
Molto buono.
This is the way to end such a beautiful day like this. The view, great people, amazing foods.
E la ciliegina sulla torta.
La ciliegina o la pera sulla
O la
torta.
pera.
Yeah.
Ottimo.
Questa è la pera. He said this is the cherry on the cake. No, I said no, this is the pear on the cake. Pure voi. I can definitely win the Tour of Italy and Tour de France with this bike. Let me tell you that.
But you need a battery, eh?
Oh, guys, I think I'm done here. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Oh, you're gonna go that way, and I'm gonna go to do some cooking. Bye-bye.
Okay, see you.
Ciao.
While they get some serious miles in, I'm going to cook them a winning dinner. Inspired by my trip to Milan, it's their oldest and most famous dish, veal Milanese.
If you say to me, what is the best Milanese dish? This is what it is, and it's vitello alla Milanese. Now, in Milan, we do this with a veal chop. Don't panic. You can do exactly the same recipe with chicken, with pork, and if you're vegetarians, you can actually do it with sliced aubergines. Now, let me show you the first thing, beautiful veal chop. If you can see, I left the bone in because people from Milan, that's the way they do it. And then see there is enough fat, which is gonna give a great flavor. It's gonna get all nice and crispy. Get yourself a cooking hammer, gently flatten the meat down like this. That's it. That's exactly what I want. Perfect. Eggs, they're going into a tray. Then I'm gonna pour a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of black pepper, like that. Now, you just want the kind of whiskey with a fork like this. Move the eggs around, but don't create the foam. Because what's gonna happen, if you create the foam, it's gonna separate the breadcrumb from the meat. Okay. So, the egg is done. This is the breadcrumb I'm going to use. Look how fine it is. It's like sand from the sea.
Pour oil into your pan, add heat, 2 cloves of garlic and some fresh sprigs of rosemary.
Now, you get your veal chop straight into the breadcrumb, like that. Give it a shake, and then you go straight into the egg. Make sure that the whole chop is coated by the egg. And now, it's gonna go straight into the breadcrumb again. So we give it a double coating. The other tip I can give you, if you pick up a little bit of breadcrumb, if you see that it foams around the breadcrumb, it means that it's absolutely ready. Now, look what I'm doing. The back of the knife, not the blade, the back of the knife. 1, 2, 3. Turn around, 1, 2, 3. I'm creating this crisscross, so it's not gonna curl. It's gonna be nice and flat. Straight in, 4 minutes on each side. Look at that. This is absolutely perfect. Now, put on some kitchen paper.
While the veal rests for a few minutes, make a salad with fresh leaves, lemon juice, extra virgin olive oil, and a pinch of salt.
This is gonna be fresh, healthy, delicious. Now, get your vitello alla Milanese on one side, get your little fresh lemon salad on the other. Yes, Milano is famous for fashion, but to me, the most famous thing that they have is right here in front of you. Vitello alla Milanese. State mangiando? Già state mangiando? This is
Wow,
yours.
grazie
I made a
Gino.
special for you. Like, it looks like a little heart. Look. I'm knackered with this bike situation. Buon appetito.
Buon appetito.
With veal is always the best, is it?
The best. You
Viva
are
la
the
Milano.
best.
Thank you.
Passione questa.
Since the early 19th century, bistecca alla Fiorentina has been the ultimate Tuscan steak. This is the biggest, thickest, tastiest steak in the region, and it comes from a very special animal. Chianina are the world's largest cows, and they've been a part of Tuscan life for over 2,000 years. Their tender meat is bursting with flavor and is ideal for the bistecca alla Fiorentina. This restaurant has been cooking the Florentine specialty for over 60 years.
Ciao, Michele.
And manager Michele Notar Francesco supervises the cooking of up to a whopping 150 steaks per day.
So tell me, where does it all start?
Follow me in the fridge.
Okay. Wow. This is meat heaven. Amazing. Now tell me about the Chianina cow. Why is this so important for the bistecca alla Fiorentina?
This is only women cow, and the fatties are really important because it is the
When you cook
the
it,
perfect, yes, yes.
it gives all the nice flavor.
Yes, yes.
Come on, we are talking too much about this steak. Let's cook it.
Of course.
Now this is going to be good. A true Florentine steak can feed 2 people, and it has to be a particular thickness.
Yes, to be 3 fingers,
3 fingers. What kind of fingers are you using?
like Matteo fingers.
Oh, all right.
Michele has allowed me to cook this huge slab of meat in the traditional way over hot coals.
What's the technique? A little bit of oil? Anything else?
Assolutamente no.
Nothing.
Mettila direttamente sulla griglia calda.
Just like that?
Sì.
Okay.
La cottura deve essere rigorosamente alla fiorentina, nel senso abbastanza al sangue.
And what if the customer wants it well done?
Valla a mangiare al ristorante accanto.
He said if a customer comes here and asks for a well-done steak, very politely, he's gonna go there and say, "Sir, do me a favor, go to the restaurant next door."
A rustic, salty crust stops the meat inside from cooking too quickly. But soon the steak's ready,
There you go.
and my mouth can't stop watering.
Look at that. That's fantastic. Come on. Let's go eat it.
Okay.
The beauty of the Fiorentina T-bone is that you get a bit of sirloin
Mamma mia.
and a bit of fillet steak, all on one plate.
Nice. You done the steak for me, I'll do the oil. There you go. It's like butter. It melts in your mouth. Wow. To me, I know it's probably quite strange, but it's very romantic. You know, if you are a couple, like husband and wife, you put the steak in the middle, everybody takes their own piece, you can have a chat. I never thought a steak could be romantic. You haven't inspired me to be romantic, but the steak has. Salute e grazie.
Chin.
Grazie. Stop. Now, every region you go in Italy, there is always a shape of pasta that defines that region. And right here, this is the shape. These are called paccheri. What I like about this is that whatever sauce you're gonna do with it, all the sauce is gonna get into the paccheri and it's just gonna be beautiful and delicious.
I'm making paccheri ai quattro formaggi, my twist on macaroni cheese.
But technically, macaroni cheese is more of an American thing, okay? I'm gonna show you the traditional way to do it with 4 of the best Italian cheeses.
Remove any rind and roughly chop the cheeses. I'm using a soft taleggio,
If you can find taleggio, you could use stinking bishop.
a blue gorgonzola,
Look at that, this is gonna give an amazing flavor.
and a smoked scamorza that will turn stringy once melted.
Big chunks, you don't have to cut it too small because everything is gonna melt in the pan.
And put them in a cold pan.
And there is a reason why I use cold pan, because if the pan is hot, it's very difficult when you cook to control the heat. So start with cold and then end up with the heat underneath.
Pour over some full fat milk. Next, add 3/4 of a teaspoon of paprika and a dash of extra virgin olive oil to give it a little extra shine.
Now is the time to put the heat underneath, but make sure you put it very low. Allow the cheese to melt slowly, slowly. If you burn the cheese, you're gonna ruin this recipe. This is gonna be yummy, I can guarantee you that. As the cheeses are melting, let's cook the pasta. First of all, you need a large pot with loads of water. You need to allow the pasta to move into the water. Rule number 2, the water has to be boiling. Then the bubble will make sure that the pasta doesn't stick. Third and most important rule is salt. See, if you don't put salt, the pasta is gonna be absolutely tasteless. Okay, the other ingredients I'm going to add is fresh chive. And I like chive to go in a cheese sauce because it lifts up the dish with fresh flavor, which is very important.
Finally chop, put a bit in the sauce, the rest I'll sprinkle on at the end.
See, the cheese sauce is actually ready. I still like when pieces of cheeses are not completely melted because that gives texture. And the sauce has to be slightly runny because once we put then the pasta into the sauce, we're gonna allow the pasta in the sauce to coat it onto the heat so it doesn't get too dry. And that is the secret how to make the best pasta with cheese sauce. This is perfect, look at that.
Check your pasta is al dente.
Perfect.
Drain the pasta and put it straight into the cheese sauce. Keep stirring until the cheese goes stringy. Then add the final cheese, grated pecorino.
Now, do you remember before? You may thought the sauce was a little bit runny? Look at now. is thickening up because of the starch of the pasta. It's getting stringy. I can't wait to try this anymore.
Finish with chopped chives and a little more pecorino cheese.
That's it. That is the way it's done. Paccheri ai quattro formaggi.
Simple comfort food at its tastiest. I'm going to use the local honey to create a pudding fit for a Capitan Regent.
I am on top of San Marino, 700 meters above sea level, and I have to admit it's a little bit nippy, but well worth it. Look at the view behind me. I do cook in the best places ever in Italy. Now, you guys have bread and butter pudding. I'm gonna do a recipe which is very similar, but using very local ingredients. I am sure that everybody gets one of these every Christmas, and probably only 10% of you will actually slice it and have it with a cup of tea. Everybody else will like, what am I gonna do with it?
First, cut the panettone into about 1.5 inch slices, and then cut again into triangles.
I love to use panettone for my pudding because usually with a bread and butter pudding, you will smother it with butter. With this one, you don't have to do it because panettone already has butter in it.
Place the pieces in the dish and press down.
Can you see all these little raisins? Don't throw them away because this is all flavor. Just scatter them all over. And then I'm using some local honey here, which I'm just gonna drizzle it as this. Now let me show you how to make the cold custard. Usually when you have a bread and butter pudding, you will put on the heat the custard and thicken it up. I'm using a completely different technique, which is much simpler and it works as good as.
For the cold custard, use 2 whole eggs and 4 yolks.
Just gently whisk. What I don't want you to do is to whisk too hard because otherwise it's going to start to foam and all the other ingredients, they don't blend in very well when it foams. In there, we're gonna pour a little bit of vanilla extract, probably a tablespoon of vanilla extract will do the job. Then I'm using some Marsala wine.
Use 3 tablespoons of this sweet wine, and then add some caster sugar and whisk together. Add 400 milliliters of full-fat milk and a glug of double cream.
The double cream is gonna give extra richness. Job done. Your custard is ready. Okay, so I got my panettone with the honey in the dish. Get yourself a ladle. And what you want to do, slowly, slowly, make sure you put the custard on the panettone. Now, once this is done, what I want you to do is to make sure you gently push the panettone into the custard.
Finally, to give it a nice crust, sprinkle over some brown sugar.
Now, you may be wondering, how am I gonna cook the pudding here? Well, I asked the restaurant around the corner from here, there is a chef called Fabio, and I said to him, I begged him this morning, I said, is there any chance you can pour the oven on? And very kindly, Fabio, he said yes. I kind of forced him. Che ne dici?
Molto bello.
Allora, nel forno, 160, 25...
And Fabio, by the way, is a Michelin-starred chef. No pressure.
I'm going to serve my panettone pudding with sweet ricotta. Now, in Italy, we use a lot of sweetened ricotta. I'm going to sweeten with honey.
Fold in the honey, and it's done. The pudding's been in the oven at 160 degrees for 25 minutes.
Il profumo è bellissimo, eh? And the smell is incredible. Now, look at that. See, that's what you want. You want the crust, you want all the custard beautiful and absorbed in the middle. Ok, ci mettiamo questo qua.
To finish, sprinkle with icing sugar.
Bellino, no?
Bellissimo.
Che ne dici? Guarda, ce lo assaggiamo?
Certo.
Ah.
Prego.
Vai prima tu. Allora, I want the truth.
Fantastico.
Fantastico?
Croccante.
Fantastic is
Fresco.
my line usually, but it's okay. È croccante.
Croccante.
It's nice and crispy on top. That's the way it should be. This is just magnificent. Panettone and honey pudding with local ingredients, done here in the beautiful San Marino with my friend Fabio.